Good morning, everyone. This is Ben Dunn, founder of Antarctic Press, a comic book publishing company established in 1985. Creator of such comics as the Marvel Mangaverse, Warrior Nun, Tomorrow Girl, Penguina, Ninja High School, and a host of other comics. So, is Marvel and DC too big to fail? Well, the short answer is no. You know, one thing I've learned in life is that anything created by man can be destroyed by man. Short of a natural disaster, like a comet hitting the earth or the earth blowing up, all things come to an end eventually, and I see no reason why Marvel and DC will eventually come to some sort of end. It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but it will probably happen sometime in the future. You know, Once Superman falls into the public domain, and yes, it will fall into the public domain, unless the law is changed, then it will fall into the public domain. And then what will happen to one of their key characters, Superman? You know, that means anybody can use the Golden Age Superman. And then as time moves on, more and more Superman stories will fall into the public domain. Same with Batman. Same with all the Golden Age heroes of the past. Then what happens to DC Comics? In fact, it should happen to Marvel too. The Human Torch will fall into the public domain. A lot of the Marvel Captain America will fall into the public domain. It's all going to happen eventually. And then where's Marvel going to be with then? Also, simple fact is, they're dying. You can disguise it any way you want. You can dress it up, say, "Oh no, they're doing just fine." Sure, you can believe that, but reality is reality. There's my reality, and there's the reality. And the reality does not care about my reality. They often say the truth will come out eventually, and then it will. Now, can Marvel and DC turn themselves around so that they remain in business? Sure, they can do that. But empires fall. Why do they eventually fall? I vote for Warren Brand. I'm a student of history, and I like to learn things of the past. You know why things eventually destroy themselves? It's because it's from the rot in the inside. They all think that they're invincible. They get to the point where they've grown so large that the people who run it think that it'll never end. That they become arrogant, they become prideful, they lose sight of why they exist. They don't, they do not service the people they're supposed to serve. You know why governments fall? Because they don't treat the people fairly, justly. They don't treat them, the way it was respect. The thing about politicians is that they're only as they'll promise you anything, to get elected. And then once they're elected, they forget who you are. Marvel and DC, and to a large extent Hollywood itself, have forgotten who they are. They're there to entertain us. They're there to provide us with, amusement, to entertain. And when they forget that they exist for us and not for them, that's when the downfall begins. That's what I see. I would Nothing would please me more than to see a return to the entertainment industry and the comic industry to go back and take a long look at what they're doing and see what it is where they went wrong. Will they do that? Probably not. The one thing I've learned is that people do not want to admit when they made a mistake, when they're wrong. And the thing about it is that Hollywood is just replete with people like that. They don't want to admit when they're wrong. Because if they get the reputation of making wrong decisions, then no one will hire them. Oh yeah, they get a reputation of failure, and no one wants a reputation of failure. The thing is, we're all human. We make mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. The last nearly 40 years of Anarchy Press, we made some doozy of mistakes. The thing is, we admit when we make a mistake. We have learned that we need to be totally transparent in all that we deal with. To be honest, to treat our creators fairly, to be upfront, to give people, when we give people our word, that we hold them to the word. We make a mistake, we try to make up for it. We don't try to hide it. We don't go silent. We address it, and we try to take care of it as quickly as possible so that all parties are satisfied. And the thing about it is that since we're such a small company, we're able to address things. We're able to pivot. We're able to move quickly when we see trends, when we see things going a certain way. When we see a potentially hot talent, that is yet to be discovered. We'd like to think that we are very quick and nimble on our feet, being such a small company, that we can adjust. I know that things can be daunting. Maybe Marvel, DC, the entertainment, maybe the economy is affected. But you know what? There was a little thing in the 1930s called the Great Depression. That was pretty bad. People don't really remember the Great Depression. The Great Depression was a huge economic downturn back in the 1930s. You think things were bad now? Imagine what our grandparents and some of our parents went through during that time period. There was almost nearly 20% in unemployment. 20%! That's huge. That means 2 people out of 10 had no work. Right now, it's only like 5 or 6% right now. And that's considered really bad these days. And that's the value, of course, and then the government took away people's ability to own gold. People don't realize that. You think there was a fascistic government now, when certain politician is in office? We were nearly a dictatorship back then. The people don't realize that. We almost became fascistic because the government pretty much took over everything because the economy was that bad. But who thrived? It was the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry did great. People went to the movies. They wanted to be taken away from all the hardship they were experiencing. What is Hollywood and Marvel really doing anything to help people, to elevate people, to entertain them in their time of need? They're berating them. They're insulting them. They're telling them what bad people they are. How is that helping people get away from it all? People want escapism from their everyday lives. That's why the entertainment exists to begin with. They want to escape to another world. We take it away to a fantasy land where they can feel good about themselves, feel good about humanity, feel good about things around them, to encourage them to soldier on one more day, to let people, feel like they're worth something. That's what the entertainment industry is there for. And I think they seem to have forgotten their core value. We've always believed here at NRA Press that our core value is to entertain. That's the only reason for our existence. If I wanted to make comic books, I could do that. Yeah, I could make comic books for myself. All those people who are writing comics that have an agenda, they can make comics for themselves. They can do that all day long. They have every right to do that. But people have a right not to buy it. That's the one difference. Make all the comics you want for yourself. But if you want to make money off of it, then you have to give reason for people to buy it. On this current trajectory, my prediction is that there's going to be a total collapse of Marvel, DC, Hollywood. Is not sustainable. They have destroyed the very foundation that was holding them up. They let the rot inside the interior. The termites are eating at the foundation. And their own arrogance refuses to let them believe that there is anything wrong with what they're doing. The thing about running a business is that the business of running a business is to stay in business. That is the first and primary objective to running a business. How do you stay in business? By providing something people will want to pay for. And when you stop creating things that people want to pay for, then the simple fact is you're going out of business. And that's no matter how big you are. There's times when there were companies that people thought would last forever. Sears, is a good example of that. Enron, another good example of that. Lots of companies have. The thing is that eventually something will fill the vacuum. And right now, indie comics, manga, are starting to fill that void being left behind by Marvel and DC. And indie productions are starting to fill the void. Foreign movies are starting to fill that void. People have been talking about Godzilla Minus One, a production budget of $15 million. On the one budget of a typical Disney blockbuster movie, you can make 10, 15 Godzillas minus ones. 15! I mean, they may not make $1 billion movies, but I assure you could probably make a profit. The thing is, people say, "Oh, there are no good ideas." There's plenty of great ideas. It's just that they're not willing to take the risk on them. But if they took a risk on a low budget movie, where there was there's a possibility that one of them was going to be a big breakout hit. And, who remembers Blair Witch? One of the most profitable movies ever made. Ever. Do the cost to profit ratio? One of the most profitable movies ever. And it was just a weird indie film with the concept of the found footage. Ideas are still out there. It's just that Hollywood refuses to take a chance because they think in order to make big, they have to spend big. Sometimes you have to have the little victories to win the war. You don't have to have that big, huge. When you're trying to win a war, the thinking often is that one big victory will turn things around. Well, Doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes you have to win a lot of small victories to win the war. You're going to get setbacks, but that's just life in general. So I would encourage those people out there who have the next great idea locked in their head to get it out there. Take a chance. Let and grow the ideas you have out there and be tenacious about it. Entertain people. If people like what you're doing, they will let you know. If you're not making it, then maybe you need to reevaluate what you're doing and pivot so that you can ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why aren't people supporting my idea? Sometimes you need to look internally and figure out and admit maybe what you're doing needs a sea change. And that's what I think Marvel, DC, and the entertainment industry are not admitting to themselves, that they need a sea change, that they need to call the exterminator, and to get rid of the pests that are now permeating the woodwork, the very foundation of their companies, and find out what it is that they're doing wrong, and finally admit that they are doing something wrong. I highly doubt that will happen. Sometimes things have to get so bad, that they may have to declare bankruptcy. And when you declare bankruptcy, finally, they may see, and then someone will swoop in, grab the company and maybe decide, you know what, I'm going to turn this thing around. I'm going to do something good with it. But until that time comes, we, as independent creators, will continue to create. Hopefully, we will find success. And eventually, maybe our ideas will take off. And then we become the next Walmart, become the next Amazon, becomes the next, big thing. It can happen, and very quickly. We just have to stay focused. So, anyway, that's really all I got to say for today. If you agree with or disagree, you can please comment below. I would love to read your feedback. Like, subscribe, costs you nothing, helps me, with the algorithm. I'd eventually like to get to enough watch time subscribers where I can do live streams and talk to you directly. Because I would love to have a conversation, with people who support the ideals that I believe in, and please keep creating, because that's where the next great idea will come from. So I do have a campaign going. I'm sorry, I have to make a living somehow. So check out my Kickstarter called The Crimson Nut. It's a throwback to the pulp adventures. Great action, based on a character I created in the Warrior Nun universe, which I created, and written by Ron Fortier and drawn by Jesse Thomas. Link will be below. And until next time, this is Ben Dunn signing off.